the Life Mastery Collective. Basically a group of like-minded individuals that came together almost a year ago to kind of pool our talents, backgrounds, and skill sets to come up with ways for people to optimize their life. We all have different experiences. You know, we've learned about a thing or two over the years, and just through the natural course of living. And what we're here to do is we're going to allow you to skip the dirt road and all the potholes and pitfalls that go therein, and we can help put you on to the highway to get to where you're going faster and with less difficulty. You know, if someone else puts their hand on a stove and burns it, you don't necessarily have to do it yourself to know that that's not a good idea. Well, let our experience be someone else's hand on the stove for you. We can help you move a lot faster with a lot less pain and kind of facilitate you getting to achieve your goals and the things that you want to get out of life. With that, I'm gonna turn it over to Andrea for a minute, and she can kind of give it a little more background on us.
Great, thank you, Kurt. My name's Andrea, and you just met Kurt. We are your co-hosts for today, your co-facilitators, and you will meet a few of our other teammates today and through the other 2 days. And so I'm just going to let you know, to start off with, what our Life Mastery Collective mission statement is. This is how we came together. We've all been together for about a year, and we have been developing this to really empower. So our mission statement is to empower individuals to optimize their lives. And we do this by providing tools, resources, support to help the people we want to help with their potential, to reach their full potential. And this 3-day challenge specifically, our aim is to help the participants gain insights, develop practical strategies, improve on physical, mental, emotional health. And we feel like life optimization, by focusing on that, we think that, individuals can really unlock their true potential and live their best lives. And we all have done that to some degree in our own specific, areas of expertise. And before we get started, I do want to talk about a few commitments that we would like to just let you know about. This is kind of before we dive in, what we ask of each of you as participants. We believe that this will help create a more supportive environment, a more focused environment for everyone involved, not only you as participants, but including us as speakers. So first, we'd like you to embrace total honesty, and not just with us, but with yourself. This journey that we're about to, lead you through is about self-discovery and growth, and being open and truthful with your, what you're thinking, what your emotions are, your dreams, will really help create real breakthroughs together. And so for sure, we want to encourage you to embrace honesty. We also want to encourage you to celebrate uniqueness, your own uniqueness, as well as that of others, and respect the individuality that is brought here. So in other words, don't compare yourself to other people. We all have different starting points. We all have different journeys that we're going to go on. And each of those is unique, and each of those is beautiful. We're also here to foster an environment of, support and working together in collaboration and community. And so, it's important to appreciate the diverse perspectives and diverse experiences and starting points. And that will bring, a lot more to this challenge, these 3 days overall. We also want to ensure, as much as possible, that you have a focused and engaged environment. So one of the things we recommend is to turn off your other electronics and minimize other distractions as much as possible. That may mean shutting your office doors so nobody comes in and interrupts you. Whatever that case may be, the more you can immerse yourself, and go deeper into this process and the content, I think that's going to allow you to make the most of our time together. And then remember, we're on Zoom. Remember the Zoom etiquette. We would prefer that people be on camera as much as possible. Obviously, sometimes that's not always possible in certain situations, but it does allow for better connection and interaction among the participants as well as among, the speakers, if your camera is on. However, there may be points where you might need to take and put your camera off, and that's fine too. So while your camera is on, it does allow for, more presence, I think, and more engagement. But also while your camera's on, be mindful, please, that your camera is on. If you have to move into a different room or do something different, you may want to just turn your camera off temporarily until you come back. Lastly, we really want to encourage and we welcome your questions. Any questions you have, please throw them into the chat. We hope to answer many of them as we go through these 3 days, but we do have a dedicated Q&A session for sure at the end of the 3rd day. We will try to have some time at the end of each day. So the end of the day today, we're going to try to hit some Q&A as well as tomorrow, but definitely if we run over and don't have time, we will definitely do it for sure on day 3. And we would like to address as many of those questions as possible. And really your questions are vital for us to help shape our content and shape what we do going forward. So please make sure if you have any questions, you can just throw those into the chat and we will have people monitoring the chat and we will address as many as we can. So now that we've talked about these commitments, let's embark. Let's move forward. Let's embark on this journey together with an open mind and have some fun and gain some knowledge. So let's discover our true potential together and embrace some positive transformation and have a good time. I'll pass it back to Kurt.
Sounds awesome, Andrea. Thank you very much. She talked about the mission statement, and again, one of the things that we really want to provide is tools and resources for you to be able to take yourself to the next level, hence the Level Up Challenge. Again, she talked about just closing off distractions. One of the things you may want to do too is just stop and reset. It's something in baseball, they call it clearing the mechanism. Just stop, take a deep breath, just let it out, and just clear the mechanism so you can focus on what we're going to go over. I think you'll find that there's a lot of information here that's good, but not everybody's on the same point in their path, on their journey in life. So I would ask that you would also take this approach with what I call the shopping cart method. Just like when you go to a store, you don't take every item off every shelf in the store. You pick the things you need. If you don't like beets, guess what? You leave them on the shelf. You move on to something else. If you like them, you take them. Same thing here. There's going to be things that apply to your life. Those things, feel free to take the information and use it as best suits you. The things that don't apply to you, well, you know what? Leave them for somebody else that they're going to work out better for. So I'd ask that you would do that. What I want to do now is I want to just take a moment to introduce a few of our coaches here. We all have, like I said, different backgrounds, different areas of expertise. Obviously, my co-facilitator, Andrea Yenawine, she's got an awesome background in health and wellness, allergy relief, natural remedies, and I think you're going to find that she has some really great input to give you. We have Deb Hernandez, who is a holistic teacher, a spiritual guide, and a Reiki master, and she has some insights that are going to blow your mind. It's amazing how energy affects us all. Faye Dump is a teacher, a counselor, and a grief recovery specialist, and that's not my forte. That's definitely her field because that's not where I go. I have a little bit different perspective on things, which suits me but doesn't suit everybody. And I'd also like to introduce you to Heather Morrison, who is also very into health and wellness. She has a motivational mindset, and most importantly, she's our Jamaican connection. So Andrea, if you'd like to kind of introduce a little bit of the others that we have here, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kurt. Well, my co-host, Kurt Wood. Kurt's areas of expertise are leadership, mindset, public speaking, thankfully, which helps us today for sure. Kurt has a lot of good insights. He's studied through with a lot of different people over the years and has some great information for us. He's also one of our 2 resident military veterans, and we are very proud of that in this group. So thank you for your service, Kurt. We also have Jeff Jennings. Jeff is his specialties are leadership, mindset, meditation. Jeff's going to take us through a little something later today. And Jeff is also our dog wrangler. He had a group of puppies there for a while that have quite quickly grown up. So that's been fun for us in this group to watch those puppies grow, and bring some excitement and adventure. We also have Sue Mercer Corey. Hi, Sue. And Sue has just an amazing creative mindset, some event planning experience and details. And one of the things she's really good at is helping others pay it forward. And that just strikes me at my heart. And she's going to have some great things to talk to us about later in this challenge. And then lastly, we have Sean Kip. He goes by Kip, sometimes Kipfer. His specialties have to do with accelerated learning, time management, organization. He is on the ball with those things and is going to have some great information for us as well. And he is our other military veteran. So thank you for your service too, Sean. So that is our crew. I hope I didn't forget anyone. We're excited to be here, and we love this group that we've created. And I think we all work very well together. So, and you'll see some of that as we go forward through our 3 days, through today and the next 2 days. On that note, we're about to get started, but before we get started, I just wanted to take a moment, put in the chat, let us know, why did you come here today? If you came here today with a particular goal in mind, or what ultimately is your goal? What's in it for you? Why are you here? We want you to have a destination in mind so we can help you get there, with purpose and focus, but it also just helps us to know if you had something in mind, what is it that you believe is in it for you for being in this 3-day challenge? Throw that in the chat if you have a moment, and that will just help us, kind of going forward, but also even in today. And we will keep an eye on that as we go through. So with that being said, I am going to introduce you to our first session, our mindset section. And for this first section, we'll be talking, Deb and Kurt will be talking to us, and they'll be discussing mindset mastery and teaching us one of the things we do with our clients, regardless of their goals, to help ensure that they are successful at making real life optimizing, leveling up changes. It's the one thing that a lot of people get wrong that cause them to not reach their goals or continue to strive for their goals. So thank you, Deb and Kurt. Take it away.
Okay, well, first I want to give a little more background on Deb, because she's going to actually talk first. I mentioned that she's a Reiki master. She's a practitioner of holistic healing. She specializes in meditation, emotional freedom technique, and reflexology. You learn a lot about the mind-body-spirit connection when you do things like that. And so I think from that background, she's going to give you some profound insights on just how your mindset and stuff affects everything. If Simon Sinek mentioned that he wrote a book called Start With Why, and he talks about most of us go from what, how to why. When you're in school, typically, at least when I went through school, high school 50 years ago, it was always, what do you want to do? How do you do it? And then 40 years down the road, you get to the point where you say, why in the world am I doing this? Well, if you start with why, you ask yourself, why do I do this? What do I get from what I do? Then you take that and then you figure out how to do it, because you can look at, this is what I want. And this is why we do this exercise with mindset, to find your why, is because if you don't know why you're doing something, you're not going to have the fortitude and the discipline to stick with it when the times get tough. And Deb's going to talk a little bit about how her background affected how she did things and some of the stuff she had to go through to change. So pay attention to her, because she's going to give you some good stuff. She's got everything flying in formation. So take it away, Deb. You need to unmute. There you go.
Yeah, right. Okay, thank you for having me. Thank you, Kurt, for your insight and insightful information, and Andrea for your introduction and all the information. And thank you, everybody, for being here. I am so excited to be here for our three-day Level Up Challenge. This is so cool for me. And the reason we're talking about mindset today, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. But first of all, yeah, like Kurt and Andrea were saying, my name's Deb Hernandez. I am a spiritual guide, holistic healer, and Reiki master. But I grew up in a Hispanic Catholic culture, which is very black and white kind of way of growing up, good, bad, right, wrong, black and white. And so it kind of puts you in this box that you just have this one way of thinking. And I found it just didn't work for me. And so as I got older, I grew away from the church and from my family. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Catholicism. I understand its pomp and circumstance and where it fits in people's lives. But at the same time, it just didn't work for me. My family also had this martyr mentality. We have to struggle, we have to be poor, we have to work hard. We're here to suffer. No, thank you. Life has enough suffering. I'm not going to invite it into my home or my life. So I had to graduate from that. And that put me on the path to believing in myself, believing in a higher power that brought joy, brought laughter, brought healing, and things like that. So after saying that, so the reason we decided as a team that mindset was the first subject we needed to talk about was because, well, stop and think about a home. You can't build a home and expect it to last for decades if it doesn't have a solid foundation. And that's what mindset is. So I'm going to ask you a question. Where do you live? So when I ask people that, they give me an address or a city or state, and that's cool. That's where they live. But where do we really live? We live in our mind. And our mind has taken us to where we are right here in this space and time. Whatever our beliefs were brought us to where we are now. That may be you're great in your life. That may be not so great, bad, horrible. I'm not happy. I'm stuck. But wherever you are, your mind brought you to where you're at right here and now. And that's why we are here today to help you plant your feet firmly on the foundation of mindset so you know where that next step is going to take you. You know which direction you are going in. And that's why we're here today as a team. Each and every one of us have something to offer to get you going to where you want to be. So talking about mindset, there are two types of mindset. We have a fixed mindset and we have a growth mindset. Andrea, would you mind putting up the slides for me, please? Thank you. So as you can see, there's a big difference between fixed mindset and growth mindset. So I'm going to ask everybody to just take a deep breath, clear your mind. Remember, our presenters asked us to come here openly and be honest. So when you look at these, which one are you? If you're in fixed, are you honest enough with yourself to say, I am fixed and I want to grow? And if you are in growth, are you honest enough to say, but I can grow further? And that's the question. Where are you? And how does it make you feel? And are you okay with where you are in your life? Or are you like us? We want to level up and get to that next place in life. So the first question is, in the fixed mindset, I already know it all. How does that sentence make you feel? And if you can, or if you want to share, throw it in the chat and we can discuss it, because everything makes us feel some way, somehow, no matter what. And a sentence will do that too. Whether or not we acknowledge it is the key. The second sentence in fixed mindset is, I give up easily. Do you? How does that one make you feel? And the third one, we're just going to talk about 3. And the third one is, I can't change my potential. The next one in growth mindset is, I want to learn. How does that sentence make you feel? And you can put it in the chat or write it down or ponder it for later. Maybe it doesn't make you feel anyway. It does make you feel some way. You're just not acknowledging it. The second sentence is, I welcome and learn from feedback. The third one is, I learn from others. So I'll tell you how they make me feel. When I say I already know it all, that ties me up. Because if I already know it all, then I must be the best parent in the whole wide world. But am I? No, there's always room for growth. And when you have 4 children, you better learn how to grow. I give up easily. My life's challenges have not allowed me to do that. I don't know where I would be if I had given up easily. I ignore useful feedback. Yeah, I believed that. At one time, I believed all these things. But I am now in a place where life and its challenges has helped me to welcome and learn from feedback, ask for positive criticism, and help me to learn from others. Because even though I'm in a place, I'll be honest, I live in paradise. I have 4 wonderful, successful children. I have all my needs met and most of my wants, but I want more, and that's okay. And if you want more, that's why you're here, and that's why we're helping you. So I'll tell you a little story about fixed mindset and growth mindset and what I experienced today. So I come from a very fixed mindset background, and today I fell back into that. I was like, I am not good enough. I don't deserve this. What kind of person am I to think that I am going to present something somebody can learn from? I fell back into that mindset. I had butterflies. I was having an anxiety attack. I was like, I can't do this. I'm going to let my friends down. I'm letting the team down. I just can't do this. And thanks to them and the support, and the same support that we can offer you as well, if you choose to follow us, if you choose to go to day 3, if you choose to see us after all of this, because we will be here for you, because we've been here for each other. And like-minded people attract like-minded people. Energy attracts positive energy, attracts positive energy, negative energy attracts negative energy. And where are you? Mindset. And so now I'm in the growth, and yeah, I'm nervous, and yeah, this is hard. It's not so easy for me as an introvert to speak to people and feel like I have something to offer, but deep down in my heart, I know I do. And that's the growth mindset. Yes, I am learning. Yes, I am growing. And yes, I am willing to take that uncomfortable step that says, I do have something to offer. I am a good person. I speak from the heart. I am a healer. In my heart and soul, I am a healer. But I always forget about Deb. I forget to heal Deb. And that's why support is so useful and helpful and there for us when we need it. Because without the support of my team, I wouldn't be where I am today. I'd be somewhere, yes, because I'm on that road. But because I am on that road, it's what attracted them to me and me to them. I hope this has been helpful. I hope we can continue this journey together. And I want to thank you and thank everyone just for all of this. Okay, Kurt, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Deb. That was awesome. You know, she mentioned something right there that she forgot to help herself, to work on herself. And one of the things I've learned is sometimes being selfish is one of the most selfless things you can do. because you can't give what you don't have. And if you're continually depleting yourself out by giving to other people, eventually there's nothing left. You know, the strong man doesn't stay strong to be helpful to others without supporting himself. So you have to take care of yourself, keep yourself built up. That's why Warren Buffett said the best investment he ever made, and consequently one of the best investments you can ever make, had nothing to do with stocks or anything else. It was investment into himself. You know, you invest in yourself into learning. You know, I became a lifelong learner, you know, over 40 years ago, because for one, I'm insatiably curious, but also because I like to live to the future. Too many people are spending all the time looking at their past and living in it. Well, you know, the thing about the past is it's past. And you need to be in the present, but you always need to be looking towards the future if you want to continue to grow. So I really appreciate that, Deb. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go through an exercise. I talked earlier about finding your why, finding the thing that actually drives you. You know, kind of get you by the route and will keep you on the path. Because if you don't know why you do what you do, you're gonna blow with the wind. You know, you'll anytime the wind shifts, so will your allegiances and your priorities. So we're gonna do an exercise, and the reason I do this is because I wasn't sure why I did what I do. I knew I've always been kind of a high performer because it was just expected, but I never really understood why, because I've never really looked for gratitude. I don't expect gratitude from anybody. I typically do things for myself. But when I did this, it brought up a whole bunch of things that it was like tumblers in a lock that clicked in place and opened a door to my past that I hadn't realized. When a little my background, my parents were, my dad was in the military, and my mom was up in Canada, and they had Liberty up there. My parents actually dated for 3 days and ran off to Reno and got married. So he was stationed out in the Bay Area, and they only had, it was a week or two, I forget which, when they got married, for basically a honeymoon, because he was on a ship, he was on a carrier and went overseas. So he was gone, you know, back then it was like 8-9 months. I was a month and a half preemie. So when he got back, he had a son. My first birth certificate just said baby boy Wood, because they had to get a hold of him before they named me. So when he got back, he kind of felt cheated out of that first year, you know, the honeymoon phase, getting to know your spouse and stuff. And so even though he loved me as a son, he still had a subconscious resentment. And because of that, you know, your kids pick up what you put out. You know, you don't have to tell them necessarily. They will get the subconscious cues, little micro cues and stuff. And so I always kind of sought approval, but rarely got it. And so because of that, you know, I found myself performing because that's what's expected. And of course, being the oldest, you know, it's kind of you're the trailblazer anyway. So that's kind of the path I went down, and I didn't realize why until I did this exercise. And when I got down to the final question that we'll go through, it was because I was basically seeking love. You know, it was, I performed in order to feel loved, to feel worthy. So we're gonna do an exercise, and Andre, if you want to put up the blank 7 levels, so we can show you what the form looks like, and it's available for download. You should have had that in the link. We'll go through this, and so once we get that up, just so you can kind of get an idea, this is what you'll get. So, and we'll go through these questions. Now there should be one that's already filled out as an example. And I'll go through that because that'll make it a lot easier on everybody. If you want to put that up, Andrea. And if you would go ahead and leave it up while I'm going through it, just because that way gives them a chance to kind of see and figure out what's going on. So if you look at this, it tells you write down your goal, and then for each level below, ask yourself a corresponding question, answer honestly. Keep digging until you reach a point where you feel a strong emotional connection to your goal. Now, this can be done for anything. In this case, it's a health goal. It can also be done for life goals. Say you want to make make $1 billion or a $12 million sale, whatever. I don't care what it is. It can be finance, it can be relationship, it can be health. And you can do this exercise for each area of life that you want to set goals in. Okay. In this case, it's obviously a health goal because the goal is lose 40 pounds. Now, here's where the exercise gets interesting. We're basically going to ask the same question 7 times, but each time we're going to drill just a little bit deeper, because as you get deeper and deeper, you find yourself typically between question 5 and 7, but you need to do 7. You're going to find a strong emotional connection. So if you want to lose 40 pounds, you ask yourself, okay, you said you want to lose 40 pounds. What is important about achieving this goal? And what I want you to do is put down a goal that you have in mind and answer this question as we go along. What is important about achieving this goal? I'll go ahead and take a few seconds so you can go through it. I'm just going to give you about 15 seconds in between one, because 15 seconds of silence can be an eternity to people. Okay, so if your answer was, I want to feel and look better, which makes total sense. That's a great answer. So now you got to ask yourself, you said, I want to look and feel better. 2, why is that important to you? Why is it more important to you to look and feel better? Okay, again, whatever, and you're going to do the same thing on your paper. Whatever your answer is, ask yourself, why is that important to you? And go ahead and write it down. Okay, now in this example, it's important to look and feel better because I want to feel more like myself again. Okay, again, we'll take it to the next level. You said that you want to feel and more like yourself again. Why is that important to you? Okay, go ahead and take a few seconds, write it down. Okay, now if your answer is, then I will be happier and lighter physically, but also mentally. Now we're going to take it again. Say you said that you want to be happier and lighter physically, but also mentally. Why is that important to you? Okay, go ahead and write down an answer to that. And again, this is just an example. So you want to, whatever goal that you have, answer as honestly as you can in whatever area it is that you're talking about to these questions. Okay, again, you said, so I will be happier and lighter physically, but also mentally. You ask yourself, why is that important? So the next level would be, because this is with this excess weight, I'm always focused on that and don't have the energy to do things with my kids. Okay, so again, ask yourself, with this excess weight, I'm always focused on that and don't have the energy to do things with my kids. Why is that important to you? So go ahead and write down an answer to that. Okay, and here it's, the answer was because then I can show up better for my family, especially my kids. Okay, like we're gonna take it one more. Okay, you said because then you can show up better for your family, and especially your kids. Specifically, why is that important to you? Okay, yeah, the answer that in the example is because I don't want my kids to feel like they're missing out or that I don't care about them enough to play with them. Okay, so one more time, we're going to ask. You said because you don't want your kids to feel like they're missing out or that you don't care about them enough to play with them. Why is that important to you? Okay, now again, the example says because that's how I felt as a child, having a mom who never played with me because she was overweight. I will not do that to my kids. Okay, you can see in this exercise how it drills down when you think it sounds great to superficially to say, well, I want to lose 40 pounds. And, basically because you just want to look and feel better. But when you get down to it, you realize that your driving motivation is actually because somewhere in your past, in this case, you had a mom that was overweight and couldn't play with you, and you don't want your kids to suffer through that, whatever it is, whether they felt shame or loss or whatever because their mom couldn't play with them. Because a lot of times we take these things personally as if it's our fault, and it's not. So I think if you'll go through this exercise, you go and pull it down, Andrea. You're really going to be a lot more focused on the true emotional motivations. When we make decisions, whether you choose to believe it or not, every decision is emotion based. We think we're doing something logically, but actually, usually when we make a decision, we already know what decision we want to make. And we just use logic to try and justify it. Because you notice when people are telling you, well, I'm going to do this because of this, this, and this, they've already made the decision. Now they're explaining. A mentor that I've had in my life for many years, he with his kids, when they were little, and he would ask them about something like, did you take the trash out? And a small child that's go, well, but, and they start to go into the story. And he would just say, tell me yes or no, and then tell me your story. Because bottom line is, yes or no is what you're looking for. The story is irrelevant. If the answer is yes, there's no need for a story because the trash got taken out. If the answer is no, you don't need the story because you just need to take out the trash. So, a lot of times we spend so much time justifying, and if we just focus on the yes or no, we can get a lot farther along. And I think when you go down into all this and you see the emotional base for some of the things you do, you understand where the story comes from. So with that, I'm gonna toss it back to Andrea, and she can wrap it up a little bit.
Great. Thank you, Kurt. And thank you, Deb. That was a fantastic introduction to for our first day and to our 3 days together. Just to circle back, as we had mentioned, we all really felt that mindset really resonates throughout all areas in our lives. And so it was really powerful to start that way. And as you'll see, as we go through later today, and the next 2 days, that it really resonates with all the things we're talking about, and it really affects all areas in our lives, and it's going to play into all the other things we talk about tomorrow and that we talk about on the 3rd day. So thank you. That was a fantastic way to start us off. And now that we have our big why, we are going to move into some goal setting. And this is a section that Jeff and I are doing together, but I'm going to start us off. And I just kind of wanted to intro it. we all know about goal setting. We've all heard, you know, the SMART goal setting, that kind of thing. But I think what we all really wanted to impress upon you is that, you know, we set goals all the time, but a lot of times we don't keep those goals. We don't maintain those goals. And that's why we wanted to start with a mindset and start with the big why exercise, because having a reason, a big why behind why you're doing something can make a huge difference. And in addition to that, we wanted to give you, you know, our take on what really just sort of maybe a more in-depth way of setting goals that can really help you not only set them, but maintain them, and in the end, hopefully actually, you know, reach your goals. So I'm going to introduce you right now to, we actually took the SMART goal concept and expanded it a little more. I guess this is a little more my thing, but so we're going to talk about how to be a smarty pants goal setter. And hopefully you can all see my screen, and I am going to roll through this. So this is not part of the handouts that we sent when you signed up. So that's okay. This is actually pretty straightforward. So you can just do this on a piece of paper. We're just going to go through, and this is our acronym, and we're going to touch on each of those, what is that, 11, 11 letters in Smarty Pants. And I'm going to walk you through that right now. So you can take the goal that you had when we did the 7 levels deep exercise, the big why exercise right there. Or you can grab a new goal if there's something else in your mind that you're thinking of. And we're going to walk through this and help you set goals in an even more empowering way. So let's get started. So a lot of us have heard the first, you know, 5 letters, what SMART stands for. It stands for, the first letter S stands for being specific about your goal. And, you know, it's really hard to hit a target if you don't know what that target is. So if you just say, I want to feel better, that could mean anything. Maybe that means the ache in your elbow goes away. But is that really what you meant? Or did you mean that you want to wake up every day with more energy? Or did you mean that you don't want to have any aches and pains anymore? So really, to hit a goal, you really have to be specific about it. So that is the first one. So take a moment and look at whatever goal you're working on and see if you can be a little more specific with it. And I'll give you a few seconds on that one. Great. And then this kind of ties in with specific. So I'm going to jump into it a little quicker here. Measurable is the M in Smarty Pants. And, you know, that, again, you can't determine if you've reached your goal unless you have an element of measurement in it. So in the example we saw earlier, you know, the woman wanted, or the man, whoever it was, wanted to lose 40 pounds. Well, 40 is measurable. And that's a number. That's an actual way of measuring things. And there's different ways of measuring things. But if you can be as specific as possible and include a measurement in it, that's going to just give you more strength in your goal and better knowledge when you've actually reached your goal. So as I walk through this, go ahead and, you know, complete each section for your goal, or what you may be doing is actually adding on to your goal. So you may have started with, I want to lose weight. So now at this step, you might be, I want to lose 30 pounds. That makes sense. We'll move on. The next part is making sure your goal is achievable. So, for example, in the lose 40 pounds goal that we saw in the previous exercise, that may not be a SMART goal for me because, yeah, you know, I'm at a good weight for my body. And if I lose 40 pounds, that actually could be unhealthy for me. So, and if, let's say, someone is significantly overweight, if someone, you know, say weighs 300 pounds, losing a goal of losing 150 pounds may not be achievable immediately. They may want to start with something smaller and then eventually move on to that 150 pounds or whatever the case may be. But you just want to make sure that that goal is achievable. And, you know, that's an important part, because if your goal isn't achievable, you're not going to be motivated behind actually reaching it and sticking with it. So we are on A. So we have gotten specific measurable and achievable. So at this point, your goal should be looking a little more specific, a little more powerful. And I'll give you a few seconds to just kind of work on that achievable part and make sure that your goal is achievable. Great, let's move on. So the R is for relevant. And well, this is somewhat similar to achievable. Relevance maybe has a little more to do with, for example, how is it relevant to you in your life? Is it relevant to you in your life? If this is not something that's relevant to you, are you going to stick with it? Are you even going to continue to pursue it? So make sure it aligns with your values in life, who you are as a human being, the things you want to pursue. Sometimes we set goals unintentionally because maybe our parents wanted us to do something, or our boss wanted us to do something, or we feel pressure from some other arena. Those goals are difficult to achieve because they're not relevant to, ourselves. They're not relevant to me or to you. So make sure there is relevance there in that fashion. That will help. And if you still need to make this goal because it's been set by someone else and you do have to accomplish it, try to find how it is relevant to you. Look at it and really think through it. Okay, someone else set this for me, but I still have to do it because perhaps it's your job or whatever the case may be. Let me dig deeper and find where there is relevance for me. And that will help, give you more power and motivation in your goal. All righty. So we are down to SMART. The T in Smarty Pants is for timely. Some people like to call this time bound, time limits. I prefer timely. It's a little more positive. And I think timely has a two-part to it. Is it timely in the sense that, is it really something, you can do right now? If you're about to leave, for 3 months to Europe, can you, are you really able to train for a marathon? Maybe not. Maybe it depends on what's going on in your trip. If you're going to be on a boat the whole time, sure, maybe you could run around the outside of your cruise ship. Who knows? But make sure it's timely for you. And also make sure you have some sort of time. It's bound within some sort of time frame, because that's going to help you stay with your goal, and it's going to help you be motivated, and it's going to help you know when you've actually achieved your goal. And the biggest example I can think of this aspect of being timely is, maybe you have a goal that you want to make $1 million. Well, if you already make, $100,000 a year, in 10 years, you're going to make $1 million. You will achieve that goal. But did you want to do it in 10 years? Or did you want to make $1 million in the next year? Right? There's a very big difference between making $1 million in 1 year and making $1 million over 10 years. So make sure that you have considered the timeliness of your goal, and that should be a part of it. So if you want to run a marathon, by when? Do you want to run a marathon before you're 80 years old, or do you want to run a marathon in the next 6 months? So hopefully that makes sense. So take a moment and think about what the timeliness is of your goal. Great. We are going to move on now, and this is where we have brought our own unique emphasis and tools into the SMART goal setting to make it a Smarty Pants goal setting session. And we want you to be a Smarty Pants goal setter. And this is where it starts from our own perspective to make it more powerful and have the ability to have you, be more motivated in your goals. The why in Smarty Pants is for your big why. Now, we just walked through the 7 levels deep exercise. And when I say your big why, that's what I'm talking about. When you've drilled down really super deep, why truly do you want to gain this goal? And so, at some point when you're setting your Smarty Pants goals, you're going to, want to stop and really maybe go through that 7 levels deep exercise and get yourself there and understand what your big why is. You may already know it when you've pulled that goal. You may already know it, that you may already know what your big why is. It may be crystal clear to you. If not, go back and do the 7 levels deep exercise. Your big why is what's going to keep you in the game. It's one of the major things that's going to keep you in the game. And that is really key to, the success of actually achieving your goals. So this is the first part in terms of actually developing your goal. Now, the rest of it, the pants part, we want you to put on your pants for your goals. This is really what the things that are going to keep you are going to be help you be most successful at actually getting your goal. And the first one is persistence. And obviously, if you have, you want to be persistent in achieving your goals, but it's important to really sit down and think about, how are you going to have to be persistent? If your goal is to run a marathon by the end of the year, what kind of persistence are you going to need to do that? You're going to need persistence, physical persistence and mental persistence. But if your goal is simply to lose weight, your persistence may need to be in the area of, making sure that you're eating the right foods and persisting against friends who always want to invite you out. And maybe you don't want to always do that because it's too tempting. So really think about what your level of persistence is going to need to be and how you're going to do that, how you're going to persist in your goals, in this particular goal. And you can actually take a moment and think about that and write that down. And I'll pause here for a moment so you can do that. Okay, let's move on. The A, when you're pulling your pants on for your goals, the A is accountability. It does help. It's accountability is enormous in terms of pursuing a goal. And for some people, they're able to get accountability internally, and that's fine. You may have a calendar on the wall, and if you're training for something for your marathon, you may be able to just post a calendar and put an X each day, and that may be a way that you have your own accountability. But for some people, and maybe in addition to that, you may want to engage a friend, a relative, have your best friend check in with you every day, or have your mom, ask you every couple of days, how's that goal going? Or you may want to check in with somebody else regularly. In this group, we have other things coming up, and we have plans moving forward for more support and things like that. We could be your accountability partner in that arena. But as we all know, when your plan is to have more exercise in your life, and your plan is to go to a gym every day, it's a lot harder to do when you're doing it by yourself. But if you have someone you're meeting there every day, that's accountability. And that's a lot easier to do because they're counting on you and you're counting on them. So take a moment and think about what level of accountability you think you will really need with this goal. And you know what? Throw it in the chat. If you figure that out, throw it in the chat right now what you think, what kind of accountability you think you would really need for this goal. Because that might help, spark ideas for other people. Alrighty, let's move on. So the N in pants is for knowledge. And you see how I cleverly made that the N. Knowledge is key. Let's be honest, if your goal is to run a marathon and you've never done that before, do you have any idea how to start that? Do you have any idea the proper way to train for a marathon? What you actually might need to know in running a marathon? You probably need to know how to breathe properly, how to train properly. There's a lot of aspects of that. And actually, I'm going to move on to T as well, because these kind of go together. You may need some training as well. So knowledge and training are key to a lot of goals. If you want to lose weight, do you know how you're going to lose weight? Do you know the best way to lose weight? It's really important to dig into that knowledge first and understand what kind of knowledge you may need to gain, as well as what kind of training you may need to have. We're doing a training right now. We're learning how to set goals. And that's key to a goal, because if you don't have the right knowledge and you don't have the right training, it's super easy to come up against a wall and say, I don't know how to do this. I can't do this. I'm just going to quit. And we don't want you to quit. We want you to keep going. We want you to be persistent. We want you to have the accountability so that you do keep going. But if you come up against a wall with knowledge and training and you haven't prepared for that in advance, that can be a huge wall. So take a moment, think about what kind of knowledge you might need to have, and or what kind of training. Not every goal will need training, but think about that. What kind of knowledge and what kind of training might you need to have to pursue this goal and to be successful with this goal? And I'll give you a few seconds on that one. Okay, so the last one in our Smarty Pants goal setting is sustainable action. So here's the thing. You can have a great goal, but if you don't have some sort of way to move forward towards that goal, you know, every day or every few days, or just to keep that action going, it's really easy to stop. I think, you know, for a lot of people, that's why they start with their New Year's resolution, and 3 days later, by January 3rd, they're not working on their New Year's resolution anymore. Probably because they only do SMART goals, or maybe they don't do even any kind of goal setting. They just pick a goal randomly. You know, that's the whole point of doing this Smarty Pants goal setting exercise with you, is to give you some strength in your goal. And the last one, in my opinion, at least, is probably one of the biggest ones, is that what is the sustainable action that you can take, you know, realistically daily to keep your goal, to keep you moving towards your goal, and even keep you motivated towards your goal. For example, if you're going to run a marathon by the end of the year, what are you going to have to do every day, or at least every other day? Or, you know, you're going to have to probably run. You're going to have to do some sort of running, some sort of training. And so, you know, make sure you understand what that sustainable action is. In fact, there may be multiple sustainable actions. It may be plural for you and your goal. You know, if you're going to run a marathon, you may also really need to be checking in with, you know, I don't know, maybe a chiropractor. Maybe you want to get adjusted regularly so that your body stays in good health. Maybe you want to see a massage therapist to make sure your body stays in, you know, in a good position so that you can continue to train. Either way, whatever that sustainable action or actions are for your goal, make sure you identify it, because I think if you don't know what those actions are, it's going to, you know, you're going to reach a point where you're like, oh no, what do I do today? And if you don't know, it's much easier to stop. But if you do know, you know, then, well, you know what your next step is. And if you know what that next step is and you just don't feel like it today, that's when you go back to your accountability partner and you say, hey, I'm feeling like I don't want to do my sustainable action today. Remind me why I'm doing this, or help me out. Or you go back to your big why and you look, that's right, I'm doing this for my kids, or I'm doing this for, you know, whatever your big reason is. So there you go. There is our Smarty Pants goal setter exercise. I hope that helps. Feel free to write these down if you want, really quickly. Hopefully you've already been doing that as we walked through. But remember, so to be a Smarty Pants goal setter, your goal should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, timely, and your big why should be attached to it. And then to help you really achieve that, remember persistence, accountability, knowledge, training, and sustainable action, and identify those factors as you go into your goal. And this will help you be even more successful and stay on your through line all the way to actually getting your goal. So thank you so much. I am going to pass it back to, actually at this point, I think I'm going to introduce Jeff. Unless, let's see, unless Kurt wanted to do that.
Well, I could. Jeff Jeff has had an interesting background. He's got a lot of experience in the retail sector and stuff, and that has led him to some learning about mindset and leadership. And I think he probably had to learn the meditation just to kind of keep his head in the retail sector for many years. But he brings a wealth of experience from that background, spanning nearly 3 decades. He's also very committed to assisting those in addiction recovery systems. And that comes from his personal journey overcoming addiction. And let me tell you, if you don't think mindset's a factor in that, you're crazy, because it takes a lot, it takes a strong will to break the yoke of addiction. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Jeff. He's had a couple recoveries. He had some spinal surgery that as one who has also had some medical issues in the past due to previous injuries, I know what the road to recovery can entail. And he's got a strong mindset that he's going to talk to you about a little bit in the goal setting process. So Jeff, go ahead and take it away. But you
You're
do
on
need
mute, buddy.
Am I here? Am I here? Thanks, Kurt,
Yep.
Andrea, Deb. For that great introduction. So I was sitting here listening to our Smarty Pants goals. Amazing. And thinking about goal setting. So I looked up the word set, the definition of the word set. And here's one that just kind of hits home for me, is to put a seed or plant in the ground to grow. I set.
That's
Excuse me,
brilliant. That's
emotional.
brilliant, Jeff.
I set plants in shallow hollows to facilitate watering, but we set a goal, we plant a seed. Our thoughts, our energy. That mentioned energy. I have to tell you, having had spinal issues, nerve damage, our nervous impulses, they're electrical impulses, and nobody denies electricity. So don't deny that the invisible isn't there. So when you think a thought, when you set a goal, when you write that down, that creates it. Well, people think you're crazy. You say, you create your future, you create your destiny by what you plant in your mind. And how you keep it there, especially in today's day and age, and with all the noise. Beyond our own 70,000 thoughts, if another human being comes to you and tells you, you can't do that, that can't be done, you're this, or just any negative thing, negative begets negative, it always does. So be careful who you associate with. That off my train of thought. Set a goal, write it down, and then you have to repeat it. So there's the P, the persistence. I started my sobriety journey 5 years ago. I started drinking when I was 12. So I spent 30 some years drinking alcohol, and it was really bad, got me sick, ended me up in the hospital with pancreatitis. 3 days later, I was, by the grace of God, sober, and I've been every day working to be a better person. So persistence, I write these down every day, just like 5 little things or 6 little things. So this book I bought for $1. So I'm not going to sell you a $30, if you can see it, a $30 journal, but journaling is important. And these goals, you set them down. They can be small goals or big goals. So, but I had a daily goals, and this started last August. So we'll go back a year. I'm just going to share one that I thought was kind of, well, they're all good. So August 9th, 2022. One of my goals all the time, every day, is to be better than yesterday. I think a lot of people probably have that goal, but I mean, today, everybody wants today to be better than yesterday. I mean, what the, sorry. So be better than yesterday, always. And then forgive yourself, because we're our worst critic. We're the one who tortures ourselves. If something goes wrong, if we have an argument with a friend, once they're gone for the day, once they're not in, you're still your head, you ruminate. So forgive yourself, forgive other people, because that forgiveness that you give them feeds you in the end. So I always, those two are always like 1 and 2, they're always the same. And then the next, put 2 hours in mastermind. So this is August of last year. So, and here I am putting 2 hours in mastermind and continue to do it. And it's like the best thing in my life. Train for an hour on Cardinal University. Clean up my email, basic goal. I didn't, so that's a specific measure. It's measurable. I didn't do a good job, by the way. Sean can help train us in that though. Back to it. Okay. And give yourself grace. Because when you work hard and you know it, don't put yourself down. Anyhow, let me clear that thought. Sorry. Anyhow. Skip, let's go to August 12th. Be better than yesterday. Forgive yourself. Walk or bike ride, exercise, important. Your body, because now you're setting that seed that you planted in your mind. Your whole body communicates, all your cells communicate. All those nerves everywhere. I know what this nerve damage feels like, so I can feel it. That's why I meditate. I'll get there. Mastermind, number 4. And then this was like train your brain, work on the nervous system. Actually, is write the Serenity Prayer left-handed. And then underneath it was just an add-on, was focus on what could happen. What could happen? If you do this, what could happen? But if you don't do it, nothing's going to happen. So when you want to do something or you think of something, there's 2 choices. Either I will do it, or I will try and do it, or you just won't do it. I mean, so anyhow, focus on what could happen. And then I did write the Serenity Prayer. I wrote the next day, everything left-handed. Be better than yesterday, forgive myself, make a difference. And I see that it's left-handed. Meditate. I always write down gratitude. So I wrote down people that I was grateful for that day. But I did write the Serenity Prayer, which is God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. That's like the past. And the negative part of thoughts. You can't change them, but you can look at them and then put them away. Some people say, you know, I'm a quiet person. Be careful with quiet people. Why? Because I ain't stupid. Oh, just be careful with quiet people. So just, you can put the bad things away. You just got to, so anyhow, meditate. God grant me the serenity to change the things I can. I can learn more. So this is our growth mindset. I can learn more. I can learn to do something else. I can learn to make $1 million. Other people do it. They learned it. They all came out of the womb the same way we did. Huh? Hello, mommy. I'm going to be a grandpa, by the way, this month. So when you're training a newborn, we mentioned puppies. Be careful, because when you start doing some deep self-work, you kind of notice how you get triggered by certain things. So when you yell at the dog and you watch them cringe, they remember that. And if you consistent, so the word no, you watch their body language and they learn that and they remember that. I actually train these dogs at feeding time. I put on Who Let the Dogs Out, because I got 5 dogs. So I put on Who Let the Dogs Out. I say, Alexa, play Who Let the Dogs Out. And I watch the puppy's ears go up like this. And they're listening, but they're still waiting for me to move. So Who Let the Dogs Out will start, but they don't move until I move. And then when I move, then they start spinning around and we kind of dance through the house. And I feed them. It's kind of fun. Energy. Where was I going? Mindset, persistence, accountability. So I wrote in my book to work on my mastermind, but I did this every day. But it took starting with small things. I put things on my mirror. I was an alcoholic, so a habit. So I have to create new habits. And how do you do that? Because I know I could sit there and I can say, like right now, I love my coffee. There's a really, in my opinion, I want to say it's a bad habit because I drink it all the time. But if I want to create a new habit to only drink 1 cup, that's going to take me starting with something small. So I start with a small piece of paper and I wrote down just 6 things I want to do every day. And I put that by my mirror so that I can see it every day. And I look at myself every day. I started using YouTube about 2 years ago I met Tony and Dean and Grant Cardone and there's all sorts of great people on YouTube. I go blank with their names. I'm going to make a list though, that I've used to pull bits and pieces to build a new life. Technically, I've been building a new life. And I've been doing it, and this is the process that I used. So still be better than yesterday. Always my number one thing. If you don't do any one thing, if you can just even say that one thought, think that one thought to yourself, you've done something that you didn't do. I mean, you've done something. And then I do mirror work, because a lot of us don't want to look at ourselves. Or I mean, I didn't look at myself while I was drinking. I mean, hell, I didn't shave, I didn't shower. Awful, gross. So mirror work, I look at myself, and then I have my goal. I have a goal. Back to goal setting, persistence. I have a goal, it's written down, and I repeat it every day. It's a big goal. It may not fit in with SMART. It's kind of specific. It is measurable. It is achievable. You know, actually it does fit, because it is relevant, because in my opinion, it's relevant to how I want my life to be. Time bound depends on your concept of time. My concept of time is the rest of my life, whatever that may be. But right now, today is all we're guaranteed. So I just have a big goal, and I know it by heart. I kind of tried to switch it up, and so I might have a little bit of a confused thing, but I'm going to share this part for you still too, anyhow, because it works. I just go with my original one. This is not the original. My original one was I think I wanted to have $100,000. I think I might have started with $10,000 even at that point in time. I mean, I don't know, but I did start with 100,000, and then somebody said you should 10x your goal, so I went to 1 million. And then the more I thought about it, and the more I listened to more people, I was like, you know what? I want $5 billion. Yeah. So anyhow, big goal. But I said I want to acquire it, because I want to get it, and then I want to use it to help people. So anyhow, so here we go. I intend to acquire $5 billion and develop the social skills and self-confidence to help as many people as possible to overcome their addiction. I will continue to grow my mind to work smarter, not harder, to achieve my mental and financial success. And I am committed. And that one was signed September 2022. And I would always high five myself in the mirror. I got that from Robbins. Isn't she a Robbins? God, who's that woman on YouTube? Blonde lady. Yeah. We'll put it in.
Oh, are you talking about Mel?
Mel Robbins, that's it.
Yeah.
Yes. High five. High five yourself in the mirror. And get yourself out of bed early in the morning. Also, sorry, I forgot all about that one. I get up early, I meditate. I haven't even gotten to meditation. So anyhow, I read my goal. And I did revamp it. That's what I said. I kind of messed it up earlier. I used the artificial intelligence. So it came back with, I intend to consistently generate a monthly income of 10,000 by utilizing my growing social skills and self-discipline. I am committed to working smarter, still smarter, not harder, to achieving my mental and financial success. And then I will use my resources and knowledge to support as many individuals as possible, overcoming their addiction. That is, amen. I like that. My confidence is rooted in my intentions. I got that from another book, by the way, but that's a good one. Remember that your confidence is rooted in your intention. If you have great intentions, you should be confident about what you're doing. It should be easier for your body to accept that this is a good thing. You know, like I tried to help somebody yesterday. I did something that I thought was a good thing, so my intention was good. So when I got demoralized on it for doing it, I was still good with that because I knew I had great intentions. So anyhow, I'm dedicated to achieving my goals. And then one more thing for this with your goals, accountability. I Think and Grow Rich. I picked up a book. This thing won't focus, but Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. Anybody can go get this book. And I don't actually have to read this because for the last 365 days, I read this every day after I read my goal. And I do this in the mirror so I can see myself. I can hear myself. I have the book in my hand. So you have sound, sight. You got to look yourself in the mirror when you're saying this. So here you go. I know I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment, and I here and now promise to render such action. I've realized that dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily upon thinking of the person I intend to become, thereby creating in my mind a clear mental picture of that person. Okay, so you're picturing who you want to be. You're looking at yourself in the mirror. I know through the principle of auto-suggestion, because you can program your mind just like a computer. We were programmed by our parents and society, and we have to break some of those programs. So here, I know through the principle of auto-suggestion, this is persistence, repetition. I know through the principle of auto-suggestion, any desire I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of attaining the object back of it. Therefore, I will devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of self-confidence. I have clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim in life, and I will never stop trying until I shall have developed sufficient self-confidence for its attainment, that I'm confident that I can do this. And this part, wow, this book is incredible. If somebody told me, I know one person told me I read it and it didn't do anything for me. And I don't associate with that person. Don't take advice from broke people. And really, if they read this book and put it down, then they probably made a mistake. So this is the last part of the self-confidence formula in Think and Grow Rich. I fully realize no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. I will succeed by attracting to myself the forces I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. I will induce others to serve me because of my willingness. Because of my willingness to serve others, I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by developing a love for all humanity, because I know that a negative attitude towards others can never bring me success. I will cause others to believe in me because I will believe in them and myself. It just tells you, you do the right thing, you work with the right people, the most amazing things happen. I don't know, Andrea, can you
Yeah, Jeff, that was amazing. Do you, I know that,
something, I'm sure.
No, thank you. I think, the thing about putting your goal or, what you want to accomplish each day or how you want your day to roll on the mirror, so it's in front of you every day, was phenomenal. I also think you were going to potentially walk us through just a really brief meditation that you do every day.
Meditate. Yeah,
Yeah,
I did. I did. I told you I forgot something. Yeah.
That's okay. Do you want to walk us through that now?
Yes.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I do. I actually, I do have some notes here. So consistency, persistence, energy. This is a mind map, by the way. If you ever, or the way I learned to make a mind map, you write some circles, some big words and little words that just help you remember what you were looking at. So yeah, daily, do the mindset daily. Consistency, persistence, energy. We are energy. There's 3 levels of mastery. Yes, thank you for reminding me. Hello. This credit Tony Robbins. And a friend from Sweden suggested a relationship course just to learn. Is Tony Robbins has a relationship course. I didn't know that, but it talks about, and he always talks about the 3 levels of mastery: the cognitive understanding, where we understand with our head. Then there's emotional mastery, where we feel it. But no, No, let me take that back. Let me get it right. Cognitive with your head, because no, feeling it's physical mastery. That's the third one. When you feel it and you own it. Emotional mastery. I use the puppies for feelings. I use the puppies, friends who have passed away, people that I love, to get emotion, to put it behind my things, to get feelings when I meditate, to now physical mastery. I mean, changing my life to become the person I am now from the person I was 5 years ago. I have transformed. I can see in the mirror, and I can feel it, So then that'll go back to my notes. Breathing. Our brain waves, our breathing. Right now, I'm sure I'm going. So we're going to slow down, but there's 4 different types of brain waves, beta, where we're at right now. So short breaths, kind of 4, 4, 4 count. And actually, like I said, I'm going, so I'm going to have to slow down just to get there. So if you would all just take a moment and breathe with me up, we're going to go in for 4. We're going to hold for 4. We're going to exhale for 4. We're going to do nothing for 4. Then we're going to inhale for 4. We're going to do that twice. Okay. Okay, inhale. 1, 2. Hold for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4. Inhale for 4. 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4. 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4. 3, 4. Oh, yes, definitely feel better. And there you can transition your brain waves slowly from one to another. So beta 4, 4, 4, and alpha, which gets more to your subconscious mind. You're going to want to inhale for 8 and hold for 8, and then exhale for a long 8. The longer you exhale, actually, the more your body slows down, and the more your brain waves flatten out. Instead of being high and fast, they flatten out. Longer waves travel further. I'm not crazy. There's gravity that you can't see. You can't see the oxygen you breathe. You can't see your nerve impulses. You can't see a lot of the colors from the sun. There's so much that we don't even know is there. I remember X-rays. They exist. They constantly, stuff passes through us, neutrinos. Believe it, don't believe it. Quantum physics, they're studying it. It just is. So I'm slowing down. So I'm just going to describe. Alpha was 8, 8, 8 with a 4. So it's longer breaths. And then you can transition from alpha to theta with a 4, 8, 8, 4. This is complicated. So we're going to go to the one that's important in my mind, which is theta and delta. Your lower, slower, more relaxed ones. Inhale only to a 4. This takes practice to inhale to a 4. I'm going to describe it and then we'll do it. And we'll try and do it twice. We might go for 3 times, but inhale for 4. Hold for a count of 8. Then exhale for 16. So now I go to the beach and do this. And when I exhale, I actually blow through my lips, because 16, a count of 16, even in your head, don't look at the clock because it makes it slower, by the way. 16 seconds is a long ass time. So just whatever you count in your head, just suffice it to say that's probably good enough. And the longer the better, always. And you'll, with practice, you'll know it, and you'll be able to get slower, faster, because it's kind of like driving a car. I drive a stick shift. I was thinking about it yesterday. My foot tells me how fast I'm going, not the speedometer, because I can feel it. When you drive a stick shift, I mean, you're changing gears and you go by the vibration and the way the vehicle feels, and your mind learns to do it all by itself. And I managed to get off at the same exit every day. How the hell do I do that shit? Anyhow, pardon my French again. So 4, 8, 16. And the best thing also when you do this is to set an intention. When you want to quiet down. When I go to meditate, originally meditation, it's hard to sit still. It was really hard to sit still for 2 minutes even, because I didn't know how. And so it does take practice. Don't give up, but set an intention. And my intention for the day is to do a great slow meditation. So we're going to do this. Ready? Inhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale 16. Hard to do, you probably can't do it. So let's inhale again for 4. Hold for 8. 1, 2. Exhale. Hold for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale one more time for 4. Hold for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16. Oh, it took all 3 to get me to 16 even. Andrea, thank you for putting that in there. I did have them written down 4, 8. And if you master 16, remember, once you master that, you're putting out there to the universe, like, I don't know, like light years, like thousands of miles, because you flattened out your brainwaves. You're the creator of your future. I mean, some people say take responsibility for your actions. Same thing, you're the creator. What you do is your choice. God gave us the power to choose. But that's a whole new lecture. Andrea, did I forget anything else?
No, I think you're
Okay.
good. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Um,
That was amazing. And
thank you, everyone,
yes,
for
big clap.
attention.
And I want to say that in doing the Delta, the 16 count, I noticed that in order for me to really achieve the 16 count, I have to be incredibly mindful about how I'm releasing my breath. And really, that's the whole point of meditation, right? Is to when you focus on the breath, you're not focusing on anything else, and that allows you to truly meditate and to, like you say, calm yourself down, but also that allows other things to come in. So that Delta practice was, that was great. That was really, I noticed that really helped me get into the meditative part of it. So
it is that that came out of a book. I would highly recommend it, which I thought I was stealing from a friend. It's called Mind Map. It says Your Guide to Prosperity and Fulfillment. So there's nothing on the other than a picture of a skull and or not a skull, but just a brain, an outline of a person, and the world, the earth behind it. So it doesn't really say anything about meditation but when you get into it, it's about, there's some journaling, there's the different types of breathing, the different types of the different levels of mind, your subconscious, your paraconscious, your conscious mind, and how the brain kind of functions. And so all these breathing patterns are in there. Is and I have not even been able to go through the whole book. I'm still only halfway through it. Over a year.
Well, thank you for the
Sorry.
recommendation. No, thank you, Jeff. That sounds like a great book. And I had never heard about the 4 levels of breathing, and that's helpful because I know that if you can get to a deeper level, there's a lot more to be had there. And thank you for wrapping up our goal setting session. It was very helpful. I know you have a very strong routine that you do with your goals every day, and I think it's good to have, that's part of your sustainable action. So thank you for walking us through that. And I think at this point we can, shall we send it back to Kurt?
Thanks, Andrea. Thanks, Jeff, for all that. I did want to touch on something that Jeff mentioned. He talks about what you program yourself with, and I use the word program purposely. We talked about doing affirmations in the mirror so you can see yourself, and that way you have all your senses. I've got a 40+ year background working in different technologies, and we have a term that applies to computers. It's called GIGO, G-I-G-O, good in, good out, garbage in, garbage out. And the thing about that is, it doesn't matter how good a computer you have. You can have the most up-to-date quantum computer that can process things lightning fast. If you've got faulty programming, it's not going to function properly. And even with all the technology we have, as fast as it's doubling and coming online, there's still never been a greater creation as far as computational ability than the human mind. And just like you program your computer with peripherals, your mouse, your keyboard, your cameras, your microphones, we program our mind. The human body is just a vehicle to carry our brains around so that we can interact with the world. Otherwise, we might as well be plugged into the matrix, and we all know how that goes. Okay, but when you talk about programming your mind, your eyes, those are the cameras to that computer we call the mind. Your ears are the microphones, and your hands would be your mouse. But the most powerful programming device we have in a computer is the same one we have for the mind. That's the keyboard. Your keyboard is your tongue. The words you speak, you're hung by the tongue. And one of the big things that I'm pretty sure almost everybody's experience is when they hear a recording of themselves, typically it's natural to say, that doesn't sound like me. It totally sounds like you to everybody else, because recording is picking up the exact sound that's going through the air. But when you speak, you sound different to yourself, because it's not just what's going out in the air and into your ears, you're also getting the subvocalization. So you're actually giving a double input to yourself. That's why they've done studies and found that as far as giving weight to what we hear, when someone says something to you, gives you, whether it's a compliment or a criticism, it has about a 30% weight on your mind, on your brain. But when you speak, because you've got the double input, it's got a weighted value of about 70%. So that's why, someone else can say you're the best thing since sliced bread, but if you say you suck, you just outruled them more than 2-1. The old saying about that 1,000 attaboys can be wiped out with one aw shit, and that's how that works, because we program ourselves. So if we want to program ourselves for greatness, to do other things, we need to watch our self-talk, how we speak. Are you saying, well, this situation's really got me down, I'm dragging, I'm just having a hard time with this? Well, your mind, because there's a wonderful thing called the reticular activating system. We know it as confirmation bias, but it's the thing that sees all the things. It will prove to you that you're right. And if you say that, this situation sucks, it's really dragging me down, your mind's going to go back into your whole history, because it has everything in there, and say, well, look at all these times when this situation just kicked your butt and kept you down. And you will stay, you'll stay in the hole. First rule of the hole: if you find yourself in a hole, quit digging. But if you tell yourself, I'm awesome, I'm a conqueror, in fact, I'm more than an overcomer, I can do great things, this doesn't get me down. This is just a challenge to allow me to rise up and achieve greatness. It's just making me stronger, because you got to tear down to build up. That's how muscle works. And the brain is a muscle. Okay. So if you're saying stuff like that, your mind, your subconscious, your memory is going to drag all that stuff from your background out and say, look at all the times when everybody thought you were down and you kicked the situation in the butt. You kicked it down the road and you just came out on top every time. And that's going to give you the strength to move on. That's why if you want to get a good workout in, Andrea's talked about it before about accountability partners. When you're working out with somebody, and having been there, you could be pushing really hard and you think you're giving it your all, and you're about to give up, you're about to drop, you're about to lose it. And you got a buddy there saying, come on, man, you can do it. You can do it. Go, 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 go. Push, 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 breathe, go. And you'll push through, and you'll end up getting about 3 more reps in, because you had somebody encouraging you. And it's those things, your mind can really push you. Andrew mentioned I've got a background in the military. My last 2 years were in ANFIDs. So we carried 800 Marines in a SEAL team. And I used to hang out with the SEALs and work out with them a little bit. And one thing I learned from them, in what they teach them in BUDS, is when you think you are at your total capacity, you're limited, you're tapped out, there's nothing left in you, you believe you're physically completely spent, your body still has about 60% capacity. So when you think you're exhausted and there's nothing left, you've only used 40% of what your body has left, or what your body has in it. Okay. When I was a massage therapist for 10 years, amongst some of the other things I've done, and one of the things we learned in anatomy and physiology is the human lung capacity is 1.5 times the maximum oxygen rate of the human musculature. So your lungs have a 50% reserve capacity to supply your muscles at max output. So if you get that adrenaline hit and you're just cruising, that's why you can do that, because you don't run out of oxygen. You have more lung capacity than you need. That's why you see people lose a lung and they can still lead a productive life. They're not going to be an athlete because they've only got 75% of the normal capacity, but they can lead a normal life. So, putting that stuff in, realize that you have more in you than you realize. There's a great story about 2 frogs that get lost in a bucket of milk. They fall in there and they're swimming around, they're trying to get out and they can't get out. And they see these other frogs out there yelling at them. And what the frogs are saying is, you can't do it. You can't do it. You're going to die. Just give up. Just give up. Just go ahead and die. And one frog says, you know what, they're right. And he stops and he dies. But the other frog, he's looking at him and he just keeps kicking and keeps kicking and keeps kicking. They just tell him, stop it, give up. You're not going to make it. He keeps kicking and keeps kicking. And pretty soon he turns it all into butter. And he rises to the top with the cream and he steps out. Well, what the other frogs didn't realize is the frog that survived was deaf. And he thought they were cheering him on. So he kept going. So, it's all these little things. Program your mind for success. Don't allow outside influence. There's a saying, and it's very true. You are the average of your 5 closest friends. If you look at their relationships, their finances, whatever, typically you look at the 5 people you spend the most time with, and you're going to be about the average. I learned a long time ago, I can tell you where you will be 5 years from now based on the things you put in your mind, the things you read, the things you listen to, and the people you associate with. So be careful when you're doing stuff. Realize that whoever you hang out with, whoever you commiserate with, or you plan and achieve and encourage with, that's going to impact where you end up. So these things are, they're critical. Be very careful what you put in your mind. All this stuff is, it's kind of a long way to go around saying, you know what, pick the right app. Don't pick the one that's going to sell all your information off or going to steal your bank account. Pick the one that's going to protect you and is going to give you the return that you need, that's going to do what you want it to do. So I really appreciate the things that Jeff and Andrea talked about. Goals are crucial, but understand you are enough. And all you have to remember is it's not a race. You're not competing with anybody but you. All you have to be is better than you were yesterday. Jeff brought up some really interesting things from Think and Grow Rich. What most people don't realize, the secret's on the cover. Read the title. As a man thinketh, so is he. Okay. It says, there is a Bible quote that I really like because it pretty much sums up what I just said. It says, my people could have whatever they ask, but they tell me what they have. Are you asking for stuff expecting to receive, whether it's knowledge, wisdom, or whatever? Or are you saying, you know what, all this stuff's just kicking our butts? Well, if you tell me what you have, I can't help you with anything. If you ask me for help, I can help you. You think God's any different? You can't push a rope and you can't help the unwilling. So with that, I appreciate that. So some awesome stuff on goal setting. If there's any questions that you've had, put them in the chat. I don't know if there were anything that we wanted to go over. We can take a brief time to cover some questions. Andrea, did you have something that you saw?
I know one of the things that comes up is in terms of goal setting, how many goals am I supposed to have? Or, is there a number, or do I just start with one and focus on one? I think that is a good question. It's also a very relevant question to whoever is asking that question. It's relevant to you. For some people, it's easier for them to focus on just one goal and really put all their energy into it. And for some people, they want a couple goals in, certain areas of their lives. And I think in general, what we, you can either focus on one goal, or you can actually take a look at some of the different areas in your lives. There's a couple different, wheel of life exercises, or whatever you want to call it, where you split, your life into, 5, 7, 8 different categories, from career to relationships, to, physical health, to education, finances. There's a couple different areas. You may even want to have, a goal in each of those areas, or you may want to take a look at those areas in your life and see which ones for you are not really developed right now. Maybe the areas that you really want to level up. And that's what we're talking about today, leveling up. That's what we're talking about over these next, 2 days after today, really leveling up your life. So you may want to actually focus on the areas where you think you need to level up, or you want to level up the most. So you may decide that that's finances and health, in which case you may really want to take a look at those 2 areas and pick a goal, or maybe even 2, depending on what your situation is and what you want to achieve in those areas. And then, take the Smarty Pants goal setting and then look at your mindset also within those areas, because they're not leveled up right now for a reason. And in all reality, that some of that may be mindset. But so in terms of goal setting, you can focus on just one if you want, if that's what you really want to do, or you can take a look at the areas in your life that you really want to level up, make some goals in that area. Or you can have a goal in all of those areas if you want. It's really a personal choice. Just remember that the more goals you have, the more your focus is going to be spread out a little bit to some degree. So take a look at what's going on for you. And that can really help you decide how many goals you want to have or feel like you need to have at this point to help you level up. Today, we just walked through one, but you're obviously welcome to have more than one. So hopefully that answers that question. I know it comes up a lot for people, and it has for me and the people I help. I don't know if there are any other questions. If anybody else wants to chime in, and if there's any other question, you get a lot. Yeah.
One of the things you talked about how many goals, we'll broach that a little bit tomorrow with time management, about the appropriateness of goals, how you do things, urgent versus important, things like that, because I think that's going to help clarify, give you just a little bit more clarity on what kind of goals, because there's all kinds of goals. There's small, big goals, little goals, short term, long range, and stuff. And we'll talk a little bit about where to put your time, and I think that's gonna help a lot with that too. I mean, there's certain you could call them goals, if you will, that you have to put into your calendar, like eating. Eating's good, sleeping's good. Those are things that you do have to put in. So you could kind of call them a goal too, but those would be like on the lower end of the echelon. They do have a sense of urgency after a point, but you can kind of work around them. There's other goals that you're going to want to work on, to the exclusion of almost everything else. When I do this, do X on this goal, once that's done, then I can go look at other things. But until that's done, I need to focus on this. We're going to show you how to just look at determining which goals should have the priority and give you the biggest bang for the buck. And I think that will help out quite a bit too.
Perfect. And thank you for that. That's a good introduction to tomorrow. So we do have 2 more days, 2 hours each day. So, and we do have a lot of great tools and resources the next 2 days to help you continue to level up. And again, as we mentioned, we wanted to start today with mindset, because we believe mindset, runs through everything we do. And really over the next 2 days, you'll see how that applies to, other areas in life. And if you want to level up in other areas of your life, how mindset really affects that. And then we wanted to, take that a little further today in terms of goal setting. And all this is going to flow into day 2 and then again into day 3. And so we'll have, a couple more speakers for you tomorrow, and then as well as on day 3. We're here to help you and support you, and we appreciate you being here with us. And, tomorrow we'll talk a little bit more about some of the other events we have coming up, but we're happy to be here and to help out. And thank you for joining us on day 1. Unless anyone else has anything they want to jump in with, I think we will wrap it up and start again tomorrow with day 2 at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and continue from there. And thank you so much for joining us. Think a little bit about tonight, about mindset and goal setting. And if you did not get to complete the activities that we did today, feel free to take some time tonight, ruminate on things, dig a little deeper, maybe even set a few more goals for yourself if you want. And then tomorrow we'll dig in a little deeper. Like Kurt mentioned, we're going to talk about time management and a few other things tomorrow. And then on day 3, we'll wrap it up with a few other topics that will be great resources for you in terms of leveling up. So thank you so much for joining our challenge, and we will see you tomorrow, day 2 at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.